Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host, Evan Teague. With me like always is the man from a different multiverse, Noah Bailey. So, this past weekend, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness released into theaters, meaning we have seen it. So, Noah, because you have seen this movie, what are your opinions about the Avatar 2 trailer?
I knew that was coming. I knew that I was going. I was like, he's gonna stop. I mean, it looks good. It does. I watched it and I was like, ooh, that's nice. Like, I know we talked about earlier, like, well, Avatar's big thing was like, it had the best looks, the best visuals, but technology's caught up. There's not gonna be good still. I'm like, oh well, that was wrong. like not totally wrong. Like it still looks better than most things. I'm not saying it's the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it does.
It didn't change my life.
No, I didn't change. I didn't like start sobbing in my seat, but like it did. Like I was watching. I'm watching. Like, and for me, for those of you who don't know, I'm colorblind. So for me, seeing colors pop at me is a big deal. So like, it was just kind of like, wow, that's like. All right, like it looked pretty good. Now, did anything happen in the trailer? No.
Oh, is anything going to happen in this movie? No.
That's kind of the thing. It's like it looked good, but I have no idea what like that. I learned nothing watching. The only thing I learned from watching this trailer is the movie partially exists.
Yes,
maybe.
A trailer. The only thing I learned watching this trailer for this movie is that a trailer for this movie exists.
Right. Essentially, like I have learned no new because really, you could have honestly probably made that a trailer for the last movie because everything was pretty much the same as far as I could tell. I didn't notice. Like, granted, it's been a while, but like I didn't notice anything in this trailer. I was like, oh, that's super different. Like, I mean, everything seemed pretty much the same. I mean, it kind of looks like they're in harmony now, which is cool.
We'll see how long that lasts, but we'll
right. Obviously, that's probably going to be for the first half hour, maybe. Do they have? Do they know how long this movie is going to be? Because I assume this is going to be unnecessarily long.
Probably because the first one's almost 3 hours. Probably
that's what I'm saying.
It has to be longer.
I feel like this is going to be extremely dragged out, even though no one wants it to be. Which makes less sense because I feel like if you have a visually gorgeous movie, you would kind of want to make it on the shorter side so you kind of get in and get out. But then again, not my movie. So
I typed in Avatar Way of the Water runtime and it said 115 seconds, which was the runtime of the trailer. So
I mean, so inconclusive. That's what we'll go with. But
at least 115 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it was a trailer. It did exist. And again, it looked good from what we saw, but
yeah,
do we know anything? No. So
yeah, me and my brother turned to each other and was like, that was a nothing trailer. Looked nice, but that was a nothing trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, it was as I like to call it, empty calories, essentially.
Yep. And then
on the outside. Go ahead.
The Thor: Love and Thunder trailer played immediately after. We're like, yeah,
I'm right up for it.
That's what we came here for.
Leaves after seeing this trailer. I just wanted to see it on the big screen. Oh man.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a pretty significant amount of people who went to Doctor Strange just to get a first glimpse at Avatar 2.
Seriously?
Maybe.
Like, that sounds like that would go the other way around, to be honest. I mean, okay, maybe not, because this is supposed to be the ultimate sequel to the ultimate spectacle that like people were like, that's okay. But
I mean, I personally assume that like the fandom for this, I guess I can't really say franchise yet. There's only been one movie so far. I assume that like the amount of people who actually like are super diehard Avatar fans is bigger than we think it is. They're just not on Twitter because it made $2.9 billion. Surely they're out there somewhere.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of this movie was like, I feel like this is one of those movies that like advertising companies and like electronic companies loved because it was the perfect, because like I remember anytime you went to any store within like 5 years this movie came out, it was always on the TVs. Like you go to any Costco, Best Buy, like any store, it was always on. Every time you look over, it's what, Jake Sully flying on some blue thing every single time you went to a store for like 5 years.
That his name, Jake Sully?
Is it?
It's Jake something.
It's Jake something. I don't know.
I'll be surprised if you actually knew his name because no one knows his name.
Is it Jake Sully? Oh no, I put Jack Sully. Hold on. Yeah. Oh,
go you.
See? I actually pay attention. Now, how I remember that, I'll be honest with you. I think I honestly remember because I remember the girl saying Sully in a funny way. And I think that's why I remember it. But
okay. And it was like a coin flip whether it was Jake or Jack. So
yeah, I mean, well, I knew it was Jake, but I typed in Jack when I looked it up and I was like, no results. I was like, oh, never mind. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like that kind of had a part to play into it. But at the same time, I mean, it did make a lot of money somehow. I feel like people who don't even like movies just want to see it because, like, everyone said it looks visually. Like, people went for the visuals, obviously. No one was like, man, that storyline jerked me to tears. Like,
no one said that.
No.
But
which I feel like this movie's gonna make half the money that last one make, if that. Like, I don't think.
I mean, half of 2.8 something billion is still 1.4
I know,
billion.
but like, I personally don't think it's gonna break $1 billion. Personally,
we said that about Aquaman.
but now, okay, that is true. But again, Aquaman came out when there was nothing out.
But for
it really depends.
I feel like this movie is coming out with the same with the same mentality because like. The nothing that came around Aquaman was Bumblebee and Into the Spider-Verse. This movie at least has Shazam: Fury of the Gods going up against it.
Okay.
So it at least has something around the same time that could be.
Well, wait, is Black Adam coming out before or after Shazam too?
Black Adam is coming out in October.
Right, so that's before. So maybe that'll make. I feel like Black Adam will make people care about Shazam 2 more. And I feel like that would make it more of a contender. Yeah,
but Shazam is coming out the week after, so if it doesn't end game and makes $1 billion in the first weekend, could happen.
I mean, it could. And again, I feel like overseas that movie's gonna do really good because it just looks good. But I don't know. I don't think it's gonna be as good. I don't think it's gonna make nearly as much as the first one because I
agree.
I don't, because I feel like now moviegoers, I'm not saying that it won't look visually stunning. I'm just saying I don't think visually stunning is enough for the moviegoer anymore. I don't think, because back then I think it was, but I don't think it is now. So we'll see. Because again, I'm not saying movies look as good as that movie does, but movies have come a long way. So we'll see. But
well, visually stunning was one of the selling points for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, though, and I believe that it delivered. So, moving on to actually reviewing Multiverse of Madness.
Future presentation.
Overall thoughts about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness?
I like it. Yeah. It was good. It was good. I think, me included, a lot of people were kind of putting that Spider-Man No Way Home kind of hype on it, and it did not deliver to that extent, but that's not really fair, at least in my opinion, because you gotta be pretty crazy to go with No Way Home did really well. So I feel but it was still good. I feel like there were some points that were a little dragged than others, and some things I didn't necessarily agree with, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was poorly done. I really like the character. I really like certain character moments too, because not only do they feel like they're big developments, but also it feels like some of these were been earned. And also, I thought that like per usual with the Doctor Strange movie, like a lot of the magic uses were like smart and like enthusiastic. Like I remember like one scene, like the music scene where he like uses the notes to fight, and it actually plays that different suspenseful, notable music notes was actually kind of cool. So
that was cool, yeah.
right. Like I was like it actually it was like it wasn't just because it played those like recognizable notes and you're like, oh, that's a real piece of music. So that kind of makes sense that when he hits them, it makes that sound and that thing. But
yeah,
yes, generally I liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for all the reasons I thought I would. I really do enjoy Ben Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I really enjoy Liz Olsen as Scarlet Witch. Wong is always fantastic. I liked America Chavez more. Like not that I thought I wouldn't like her, but I don't know anything about the character, and I liked her quite a bit. The number one, I guess, complaints. I guess going to go and just say spoilers for the rest of
the for sure.
My number one complaint with this movie is the fact that like I kind of wish it was more multiversey than it was, because the movie is called Multiverse of Madness, yet the I guess universe they spend the most time in is a futuristic version of our own, where the traffic lights are different colors, and that's about the only major difference.
Pretty much. Well, they did have those things where you could like see core memories or something, which was kind of cool.
Sure, but that's just kind of like a basic progression. Like when you live in a world where Tony Stark is able to do whatever, like that's like natural progression of things.
Brand new plot.
But that's like as far as like things that are radically different from this timeline, that's the one. Like that's it. And like they don't really do a lot of different hopping around different multiverses. Because America Chavez only really gets control of her powers at the very end, and then she, like, I don't know. I was kind of, I guess going in, I was kind of hoping the like, I had a feeling Scarlet Witch would be at least a antagonist for the movie. I didn't think she would be the antagonist of the
movie. All right, so may I?
Yeah.
I did not see that coming at all. Like the trailers built it up like she was gonna like they knew like that. As far as movie 180s go, that was up there because I was not expecting her at all. Like I was expecting her to be like a no, I'm trying to do better. Like no, she went straight up like not like ew, like out of nowhere. Like it wasn't like the hesitant, maybe I am seeking door. It was like no. Ew. Like I was like, whoa, like it was I liked it because it was something I hadn't feel like I'd seen in a while, where a character that I expected to at least be at the worst neutral was completely diabolical and murdered everyone, by the way.
Without care.
No. Like made fun of it. It was like having a blast murdering people. Like, and I'm just kind of like, oh no. But it was really entertaining because A, she was very powerful, and B, I always love it when there's a large, like when like the threat is coming, we must protect this fortress, and then they throw out, we've got all this stuff, and then the thing is just like, all right, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like I always love that because it's like this show power. They got all these wizards, and this is the ultimate protection spell. Wanda, and then Wanda goes back into her Agent Ultron book, and then does a little. Oh yeah, like I will say, granted, it felt out of character. I was pleasantly surprised that Wanda went to the dark side kind of out of nowhere.
Yes. I mean, and it's fully because of the like the dark hold influencing her to go that bad. Like essentially, I have no reason to not to think that Wanda doesn't have the potential. If she chose to go evil, she could go evil, but because she had the dark hold, that just like, made it come out. I do like Wanda being the main antagonist of this movie, but going in, I was more or less expecting essentially the events of WandaVision and Loki and Spider-Man No Way Home to like cause like the multiverse to kind of like fight back, kind of.
Yes.
And Doctor Strange and maybe Wanda having to like try and fix it, and then on the way Wanda being like, actually this is good for me because now I can, something like that,
right? Yeah.
Not her making him have to go to the different dimensions.
It definitely went in a direction I was not expecting, because like you said, I was kind of expecting the like, hey, I need your help fixing the universe because it is broken. And then along the way, she might have gotten tempted by seeing another universe where, that's WandaVision worked out and everything's great and all this stuff. And then she's like, I want to go there. He's like, Wanda, you can. And she's like, she has to let go of it all over again and all this stuff. And then there's a Wanda Doctor Strange fight where Doctor Strange gets bought. First of all, before this movie, I knew Wanda was stronger. I didn't think she was that much stronger.
She can just ignore the mirror dimension. Like,
dude, like, are you kidding me, man? Like, first of all, the mirror dimension is 0 for 2 recently. Second of all, which I have no, because that first thing I said, I was like, wait a minute, this didn't go well for him last time. I don't know if this is going to work again, because I'm like, if I'm him, I'm not using the mirror dimension for a while, because so far it's nothing. Second of all, I didn't like, I like how it wasn't like, I don't like scary movies as a person, but it wasn't scary, but it had some I guess horror movie elements to it, like the where is she? She's trying to sneak in and all this stuff, and jump scares and stuff like that. It was really, I really like it because it took kind of different elements with that. But it was just so, again, subverting expectation. But I enjoyed what I got, so it's okay.
Yep, just that one scene of Doctor Strange, America, and Wong in that basement area, and like she's using the mirrors to
she's in the reflections, and then the puddles, and I'm like, I would not have been smart enough to think of a puddle in that situation.
She came out of a gong. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah. What do you even do? Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, can you even break that? What would you even do? Cover them up? Like, I don't even. You would use
the whole dream walking concept is so cool. Just like the idea of in the Marvel universe, it is canon that dreams literally are other multiverses like entering your mind. It's such
that is wild, actually. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And that's one thing I kind of wish that this movie had delved more into, like essentially her dream walking into like wherever Doctor Strange goes, she's able to dream walk into that multiverse and like chase them down. They have to keep running from her, eventually ending up with the universe with the Illuminati in it, and then maybe going from there. But it's fine. It's essentially, it's not really a complaint about the movie itself. It's more so a complaint about my expectations of what I thought the movie was going to be, like when it was first announced. But it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, I did think it was kind of odd how I get this, America. I like the idea of her character. I do feel like she was kind of a plot device, kind of, because
totally.
Yeah, it was just like, it's not that I don't like the character, but it was kind of just like, wow, this character feels very contrived specifically. Because I don't really remember anything about her other than she has power she can't control, but eventually when she has to, she makes it work. I'm like, wow, I've never seen that in a Marvel movie before. Literally, literally, that's Doctor Strange's thing. I was thinking of the scene where he's on, what is it? they put him on Siberia or somewhere, and he has
Mhm.
to either portal or he's gonna die. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, he finally figures it out. And it's like, wow,
Mhm.
that, I don't like so many others, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, it just, and she conveniently has this power that's never come up before. And like, I don't know, it felt kind of out of
Mhm.
nowhere. And I feel like that's okay, but, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, and I it's gonna be interesting having her in a movie like if they do the new Avengers or Young Avengers in the future and having her a part of that team, what exactly will her function be in a movie that's not about multiverses? I know she's strong and like has enhanced, like general like enhanced
I
speed and
guess,
strength and whatnot, but
but like, yeah. She's basically a living portal. So it's like, if you don't need to go anywhere, I mean, she could
yeah,
kind of like, I guess, portal people, like punch bad guys to another dimension and not to come back.
that
That's
seems OP. That seems
Yeah. I
too
mean, that's kind of
powerful.
dark too. Like,
Yeah,
you think about it, that's kind of, it's kind of like the Phantom
mhm,
Zone in a way. Like, you can just,
yeah. Also, potentially, like her being able to go into different multiverses will essentially allow them to create the Young Avengers because the Marvel universe has already established uh Kid Loki and then Wicked and Speed
oh, that's
out there
right. Yeah.
somewhere, and also Miles Morales is generally from a different dimension, so that could be how they
Yeah,
pull
he
him in.
is.
Like Donald Glover's character from Homecoming, his nephew could be Miles, but that Miles is not Spider-Man. But then they get another one,
Right. And then,
and
and then we get a spider bite and boom. But
yes,
like,
exactly.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, the multiverse, especially in like media, is just it's a concept that kind of makes your options limitless, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean you can just say, "Oh, and then the multiverse happened, boom," and it's just
Mhm.
like, well, I mean, yeah, but no, come on, like,
Yeah, yeah. It you gotta essentially every movie from now on has to exist in a world that you can't just essentially going forward. You can't just ignore the multiverse happens. You can't just ignore America Chavez is out there and she can't just fix stuff with her by
yeah,
going to a different dimension. Like I don't know that they'll need to
yeah,
kind of tiptoe around to make sure that things generally make sense going forward.
yeah. But yeah, I have so many questions for like after this movie, like the implications, because
Mm-hmm.
like America's just kind of one of the students now, and
Mm-hmm.
then like also, what are they gonna do with Wanda? I mean,
She,
because
I
like
don't think she died. I guarantee she
no,
didn't
no
actually
way,
die.
no way.
I think she's just gonna kind of sit in her cabin, basically detox away from the dark hold, and eventually come back and be like, "I'm sorry," and then they'll be like, "Okay," and then
Because like my thing is like I can forgive you for WandaVision.
yes,
I
sure,
I I I don't like, and the thing that I kind of have the hardest part with is like I don't think like part if I was an Avenger or like
mm,
I don't think I could get past what I just saw. Like I don't think you can redeem that because that is
yeah,
like you can say all you want about I was possessed, the evil book made me do it, but you killed
you wanted
so many
so many
people
people.
in multiple universes, I might add. So
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know about that. I don't think I can justify that.
Right, and it could even be a thing where essentially, like the since they left it so ambiguous, the movies going forward do have this universe Wanda dying, but the Wanda from a different multiverse that actually has the kids, like that essentially just kind of be like, we'll just use that Wanda from that one. Like that Wanda's our Wanda, and just go
No,
from there.
that's so
I know that,
lazy.
but like they
That
could,
no,
but they
they
could.
can't do that. I mean, they can. They really shouldn't. Like, that's my thing with the multiverse. It's like it just opens the idea for lazy writing. I'm really scared. Like, I don't think they'll get to lazy writing, but it's like the fact that they could worries me.
Mm, yeah. Um, yeah, let's just jump into the Illuminati scene.
Oh man. Oh man.
I mean, all of that had been rumored before, but actually seeing John Krasinski as as Mr. Fantastic and seeing Black Bolt back and Maria Rambeau as Captain
Yeah.
Marvel, that was Patrick Stewart. Wow.
Bro, with the original, make sure my brother didn't hear this part, but with the original X-Men thing, bro, I like. It's funny because I saw Jim and I was like, oh my gosh, like, freaked out. Which the theater was actually dope this time, so I was happy. Everyone's like,
yeah, I thought, oh my goodness. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And one guy goes like, it's Jim, and everyone laughs. It's just like,
Yep.
And then Patrick Stewart, hovers in, and I'm just like, oh!
And during the credits, that song is credited as the X-Men 97 theme. So at least which is the show coming up. So
right.
They're using that same theme song in the show.
Better. I always assumed they were gonna keep at least some version of it. Because that show, granted that show is great on its own, but that theme song is a legend. That is a top 10 theme song, period. For anything. That is in the theme song Hall of Fame. So you have to keep that.
Yes.
It just it felt right.
Mm-hmm.
And
seeing Black Bolt from that Inhumans show from 2015 that no one watched, but he was still really good as Black Bolt, so they brought him back. That was nice.
Rambeau with her I like how the continuity that her Captain Marvel suit is a different color, because there was that scene in Captain Marvel where they're going through, and then so it makes sense. It stands to reason she would come with a different conclusion. And and then
Captain Carter, obviously, but
that's right. And again, I wanted to say this last, but it's when I saw the Captain Carter thing, I was like, okay, what if stuff is happening? Which I was like, awesome, because I thought I was gonna be evil, Strange Supreme or whatever. Thought I was gonna be, the Watcher at some point. I thought it was gonna be totally gonna do what if stuff. Clearly, they did not, but it was still kind of cool to see. That's nice. It's always nice.
One of my theories for this movie was there's going to be at least 5 different Doctor Stranges running around, having to fight each other over supremacy of the multiverse or whatever. But that didn't happen, and it's fine.
I mean, there was still
Doctor Strange, but
3 or 4.
3,
I think, because there's the original.
Yeah.
There's the other. Well, no, there's the original. There's the whatever one he finds that he does the musical duel with. There's the corpse one, and
there's the one from the Illuminati universe that died.
Okay. Well, I guess he counts, but I guess he didn't interact with him, but I guess that's what counts.
Yeah. I know there are different kinds of intelligence, but I do question Mr. Fantastic's strategy of telling Wanda how they're gonna kill her. Maybe that wasn't your best play, telling her how Black Bolt's power works.
What I'll say is, I think here's 2. I think their Wanda was not nearly as powerful, so they just assumed it was gonna be a cakewalk for sure. And second, obviously, I think being the smartest person in the room doesn't necessarily make you the wisest is a big thing, because a lot of times it's smart people underestimate people all the time. So I think that's a big part of it.
And it could kind of be a similar argument to for example, when Tony was talking to Loki, being like, we have a Hulk, give up. Basically, that there's no chance for you to win because we have a Hulk. His mindset of we know how strong our Wanda is, like you said. I know that Black Bolt is stronger than you. He can kill you just by whispering. You this is your last chance. Do this civilly. Give up. Clearly, he was mistaken.
Man. Also, they did not have to be that creative with how they killed That was so messed up.
Oh my goodness.
That
Oh,
was so terrible.
how they killed both of them was brutal.
Like, man, like the black hole one kind of made sense. Granted, it freaked me out because I was just like, oh shit, because you knew she could, like, because again, it wasn't never like a, oh, there's no way she could do that, but you didn't think she actually would.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're like, no, she's not gonna, and because again, yeah, I agree. Telling her, because again, she doesn't even know who that is, so she doesn't know what his power is. The only reason she thought to kill him out of is because, hey, he's gonna say something and you're gonna die. And it's like, okay, say something now, like, you know what I mean? And so, and he unfortunately he did, which kind of, it's interesting to me because it's kind of like the whole thing. It's kind of like I would assume he was like, I guess, immune to his own ability. Kind of like how, like, you know how like with Cyclops with his eyes, like his eyelids don't blow off when he shoots, you know, because it's
Right.
like you would assume he, like, there's a fail safe with his own body, because like how does he stop when he stops talking?
Yeah, apparently he's not immune. Or
So like if he mumbles, he dies. Like, you know what I mean?
no,
Like that's
well,
kind
it's
of
like, I guess because there is just like the littlest bit of gap between your lips, even when they're closed, like,
yeah, I
stuff
guess
can
so.
come out, or they could, you could at least be forced out of you. When there's no mouth, it can't be forced out. So it just reverberates around him.
Okay, I don't know. I just, that was my, like, I still, like, I'm not being like he's sure to die. Like, I was thinking that I was kind of like, yeah, you would think he'd have like, he's like immune to his own ability, but I guess not. But it also kind of makes sense. It's just that destructive. And it was also, I hate to say it, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah, and then Mr. Fantastic got spaghetti.
Man, he got Play-Doh'd. Like, that was
so unnecessary.
I was not expecting that. Like, that was bad. Like, especially that, like, how cold that line from Wanda was. She's like, you have children? She's like, do they have a mother? It's like, yes. It's like, well, good. Because there'll be someone to raise kids. I was like, oh, no. It's like the muscle man's like, oh, no, bro. You mean business, man. Like, I was not. And I feel like it's kind of wild how she does all that and the other Avengers are like, all right, we got this. I'm like, she just took his mouth away. Like, no, you don't got this.
You two should have died faster than you did.
Yes. Especially, like, I hate to say it, but yeah, Captain Carter, like, being the last one kind of made no sense. But
it was Miss Marvel. I'm sorry.
Oh, it wasn't Marvel. That's right. That's right.
But she lasted way longer than she should have.
Right. I did like that she used the line though, even though it proved not to be true. But it was still cool.
Yeah. And yeah, how she dealt with Xavier was also great.
Like, okay, so here's my thing. I know she's like uber powerful, but I was expecting kind of more of a fight back from like a mental battle. You know what I mean? Because it kind of seemed like he just like kind of got body. Like, granted, they all did, but it was like, come on, this guy, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's one thing if someone just like is great at running, but it's like the fact that you can just outswim Michael Phelps. So it's like a totally different like avenue, kind of, is kind of wild to me. But
I think it's the fact that he didn't lose instantaneously. Like, I got heavy him dying in X-Men 3 vibes of like of them like staring each other down, and then like I like him. I do really just I loved the cinematography in general of this movie. Sam Raimi did such a good job. Every single shot where it went into somebody's eye, perfect. but yeah, like it. Also, I loved the how when Professor X uses powers, it like it was faint with those like ripples. You know, that was cool.
just like you kind of like see it happening because it's like that's how I used to do it in like the comics and stuff because you can't use or like spider sense or something which
And the X-Men cartoon is also like that.
Right, which is like heavily influenced of what they got this from, which is awesome. But man, that was I guess my thing about it too is like now seeing the whole movie, I feel like they should not have at all said anything about the Illuminati because they were only in it for like 5 minutes.
Oh, I agree.
Right? Because like imagine not knowing at all and that scene happens and you just start freaking out. Like, you know what I mean? Like that would have been awesome. But also like, when they said it was in it, like I assumed they were going to be in for like a good while, like the rest of the movie going forward, they were going to be in it, and clearly, that didn't work out.
And I was going in because I thought there was going to be more multiverse shenanigans than there was. I was under the impression this was essentially going to be an Illuminati organized from several different multiverses coming together, like essentially as like guardians of the multiverse to like. Try to fight off whatever threat was coming.
Right. Kind of like the best people from each universe kind of to like protect all the universes basically.
Yeah. And then essentially you can argue in one universe there isn't the Avengers, but there is the Inhumans or there is the X-Men or there is the Fantastic Four, and each of them know the other, like I am the leader of the strongest team on this planet. So I'm just gonna like come together.
Right. It's kind of it's kind of like multiverse NATO or something. Like
Yeah. But because they were just in one universe, it is interesting that they were. Yeah, you said they're only in the movie for maybe 10 minutes total.
Yeah.
Yet they were like, especially towards the end of the marketing campaign, they were like they were
named like they were
a bit.
Yeah.
They even like showed Captain Marvel and Patrick Stewart and Captain Carter in those TV spots. Yet Spider-Man No Way Home, where the other two Spider-Men were in the movie for like at least a third of it, if not
like a good third of the movie had nothing. Like so that one botched like CGI, but that wasn't even like official, but like I mean I feel like they kind of I don't know. Cause my thing is, I don't get why. Because like, it's not like you really needed that as a selling point. Like people were still going crazy about this movie. So I feel like that would just been more icing. He tried to make it the main cake, and it was like, oh,
yeah, that feels like the kind of TV spots you have like the week after the movie's out.
Yes. Yes. Kind of like how after Endgame, like the weekend after Endgame came out, they just go ahead and told you everyone came back because, like, statistically, you already saw the movie. So, anyone who would have cared already saw the movie, so they just go ahead like, oh yeah, go watch that at the conclusion, and everyone's running. Like, oh, cool.
Yep. And so as much as I really liked the idea of the Illuminati being in the movie, I'm not 100% on board with how they were implemented. But that doesn't I personally feel that doesn't take away from the entire movie. It was still it wasn't like a shoehorned in cameo, because I was also like kind of afraid that this movie was gonna essentially do Spider-Man No Way Home, but like to the max, and have like every X-Men, every random Ben Affleck Daredevil and Blade come in, and just every single at least just like a random cameo in the background of one scene somewhere, and because they're cameos, fanboys are gonna freak out, and there are some people online who feel this movie disappointed because that stuff isn't in it. So I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because those people don't deserve to if you're only going into a Marvel movie now for cameos from different Marvel movies, Like, this is a Doctor Strange movie. I'm here for Doctor Strange, and I got Doctor Strange.
Yeah, it's like, granted, the title is Multiverse of Madness, so it is implied they will be going other places, but they did, so like, you can't really
Yeah.
be mad. And also, yeah, I think it did a great job not overdoing it because yeah, this easily could have been like ridiculous amount of things they went into, but yeah, they kind of kept this and like yeah, like I feel like they probably spent maybe because they went to what like 4 worlds. It feels like maybe.
I mean, they went to several in that that montage of them teleporting to various
Right,
different ones, but
like we
the
didn't
first
really
ones they stayed in
right.
our world, obviously, 833, 838, whatever. The Illuminati one, the destroyed one, with the other Doctor Strange. That's
pretty much it. I think.
That it? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was, yeah, it was fine. I liked it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've already mentioned I really like this the cinematography. Just I really appreciate now after like 26, 28 movies, I don't even know at this point. We finally got a movie that is actually like shot visually interestingly. Like transitions are not just go to the next scene. There was so, especially that one scene where Mordu is explaining dream walking and it's intercut with Wanda like doing the spell to dream. Like that was so good.
Yeah, I agree. That was a really good. You like cut to Wanda, like yeah, that was good. There were a couple like that too. They kind of like had those like those like seamless transitions, kind of like there were some of those that were really cool.
Yeah. Oh, and that one scene of when Doctor Strange dream walked into that zombie body and then wrestled with those demons and then like got control of them as a cape. Like, oh, that was so cool.
Yeah, it was like a re-engineered levitation cloak that was just like yeah. Yeah, and I just like how Wong was just like, I don't even want to know. Like how you got that. I mean, but yeah, at that point in the movie, it was like, look, we just got to take it down. Like, like it ain't got to be pretty. It just got to get done.
Yep.
But, yeah, I think.
Yeah. Overall, I really liked this movie quite a bit. It like didn't meet all my expectations, but like I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, like at least an 8.5 for me, at least.
Yeah, I'd say definitely an 8 for sure. Maybe I don't know. I think I'm gonna go see it again probably tomorrow because my brother wants to see it now. So
right.
I'll really get, but I probably at least an 8 for sure. Like just because of how I liked it, the character moments. I do feel like there was a little bit of it didn't feel so much like Strange's movie, at least not in the beginning. Like it kind of did at the end, but for the first maybe hour or so, he kind of felt like a side character in his own movie. But when you've got there were big players because it kind of felt like Wanda's movie. It kind of felt like Wanda's almost Infinity War for a little bit. So. Oh
yeah,
but again, that's not bad, and I don't think Wanda's gonna. She just had her own show, so I don't think she's gonna get her own movie per se. But then again,
yeah, but yeah, they left it ambiguous enough. They could bring her back. They could bring a Wanda from a different dimension. They could just be done with the character entirely. Who knows? Probably not, but
Nah. I think she's. I feel like she's gonna get like this is gonna be a reference to Justice League, but I feel like she's gonna get kind of like a Hawk Girl redemption, kind of like I can't believe you did what you did. Then later comes back like I know what I did was messed up, but like I still wanted to help out, and then like please, and they're just kind of like okay, just don't do it again, like
yeah. Plus, White Vision is still out there somewhere,
right?
So I feel that could,
right.
Yeah. Speaking of, in my opinion, pretty good Marvel stuff that we saw last week. Moon Knight finale happened last week.
It
which,
did.
by the way, the official Moon Knight Twitter referred to this Moon Knight finale as the season finale. When up until now, they've been calling it a mini series or like a short series. So they're now calling it the season finale.
Well, based on both A, how the show ended, and B, how limited it had in terms of interacting with pretty much anything else, it definitely feels like they could keep going with the mystery. Because the mystery is really not solved somehow.
Correct.
Granted, I do feel like there's a plot hole I'll talk about in a minute, but yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely it is that scenario where, like I said, because it's not connected to anything else at all, like there were no cameos or references to really anything else outside of one reference to the astral planes of Wakanda. That's
right.
it, like, or whatever it was. Because there's no connection, because it did end on a pretty definitive note, like we killed the villain of the series, like you could stop there and it'd be fine, or you could easily continue, bring in other Marvel stuff, continue the Jake Lockley storyline, figure out how Mark and Steven are dealing with that. Is Layla still a superhero? I don't know. Like,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your issue?
Okay, so my issue is with the whole Jake Lockley thing. I get that there were hints throughout the show that there might have been someone else driving the wheel, so to speak. But why wasn't he on the boat?
Because he was in that sarcophagus that they didn't open.
What? The whole time? But wouldn't his heart have to be balanced too?
Probably.
Well, that's kind of my thing, because it's like.
But they didn't balance. That's the thing. They didn't balance. Well, they did once, Mark.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it should have been, it still should have been inconclusive, because like, and also I feel like the hippo should have known that. You know, like she should have hit him with there's 3 actually. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
I don't know. Again, it's not a deal breaker. It was just something that kind of, because I was waiting for it the whole time. I was like, okay, when are we gonna get the third person? Like, you know what I mean? Because like there's always like another, because this does, but it was kind of like all right, are we doing this? Are we not doing this? How are we? I don't know, but that's one thing. And again, they'll probably try to explain it going forward, because I think, especially if they do add another season, I think they'll do one of those things where when they take the time off after the show's over, I feel like a lot of people will probably have that conclusion. So they'll be like, okay, we got to make sure in our next season we explain this.
Yes. So and I also would like when, if, like I said, if they do get a next season or next thing with Moon Knight, they essentially show what Jake has been up to this whole time, because there were a couple of times there were blackouts and stuff. So like, what happened during that time? Like, was there things that Mark had literally did they go places that neither of them knew anything about during the events of the series? Like, what the heck happened during the climax? Because Arrow had him down, and then all of a sudden everything's on fire, and he has he's almost cutting his head off. Like, it was, like, what does his suit look like? That's another thing.
That was what I was thinking. I was like, okay, so like Mark's got the traditional one. I freaking love Stevens as like an actual like suit.
It's nothing like it is from the comics, and I'm okay with that.
No, I just think I think it fits, because it's the most like British the cups, come on here, give me a knuckle sandwich here, be a blue looking thing I've ever seen. Like, it's just missing the top hat. Like, it's amazing.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I love Steven, by the way. I know I have never freaked out so much from a character. But I think I like how they did it. I like the idea that he's like who he is, like he's this personality created for happy situations. I like that, when he died, when he almost died, I was so devastated. So I thought it was going to end and Mark was just going to be the only one. I was like, no, we are not doing this.
Yeah, I thought because Steven wasn't there, he had to like turn to a different personality to like try to cope with what's going on, and that would be Jake coming out as like, because Steven is the more reserved one to like take all the punishment. Now the results of all of that punishment is like coming out in Jake now that he's not there to like kind of be the buffer. I was kind of hoping for that, but it's fine it didn't happen.
Dude, that was crazy, man.
But yeah, like those last two episodes in particular, I thought were insanely strong. It started out very strong. The first episode, the middle was okay. I liked it, but it was like underwhelming, I guess. Kind of like I expected a little more in general from the middle of it. And then episode 5 and 6 were really good.
I really liked 5, the asylum. Because man, for a while I was like, maybe he is crazy. To be honest, because I'm like, I don't know, but what the doctor say is starting to make more sense. But especially when he actually went into where Steven came from and all this, I was like, okay, maybe you're not actually Moon Knight, bro. Maybe it is all in your head. And I'm like, no, wait, that makes no sense. Like, but man, it was really good. I love the hippo just showing up at the end of an episode. Yes. It's like, what? Because one of my friends I remember was talking about it. She had seen the episode before I did. She was like, yeah, and the hippo is great. And I was like, the what? And she's like, you just have to see it. And I was just like, okay. And I totally forgot. I was like, oh my God. And then to see later where they're like running and then like the boat like comes in and they're like, yeah, hippo. Oh yeah. It's so funny.
I love Steven so much.
Yes.
And I loved in the climax when they suited up and like they did the transition between the two. Like it was so good.
Dude, it was awesome. Like especially like once they got it down, it was like, okay, this is good. It's kind of like in Yu-Gi-Oh! When like at first you don't really know what's going on, but by the end of the show they're like perfect in sync and everything. Like it.
Yeah,
I thought it was awesome.
Oh yeah, and yeah. As you know, I've always kind of jokingly loved Moon Knight. Like I've always championed him as like one of my favorite superheroes.
Oh yeah. I remember this got announced. You were like so excited.
Yes. This show is kind of representative of the comics. Like him in the comics does have multiple personalities and is does his origins are of Egyptian heritage, and then he fights werewolves and zombies and demons and stuff. But like how the actual like personalities function is very different than how they are. How the different Moon Knight versions are like, because Mr. Knight, the Stevens Moon Knight suit, that is nothing like it is in the comics, and I'm okay with that. Steven is nothing like he is in the comics, and I'm okay with that. Layla, I don't think is in the comics at all, and she seemed cool. I liked your Scarlet what is it? Oh no, Scarlet Scarab get up, although I don't know why I had eagle wings.
That's what I was kind of thinking too. I was kind of like, wait, shouldn't it be that? But
okay, whatever. It's fine.
It looked cool though.
Like also, why does the hippo give her scarab powers? But it's fine. It was fine.
Hippo.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll start doing.
Yeah, obviously, I would love to see more Moon Knight, whether it be in a season 2 or in some kind of Avengers team up.
Oh yeah, no. Can you
Obviously,
imagine?
the Midnight Suns is a thing he's a part of. He's teamed up with Spider-Man, Daredevil, like
Yeah.
a bunch of different people before. Like it's
No, can you imagine him there being some like big Avengers fight and he's like switching between he's like yeah, but another like you know what I mean? Like I'd be
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be so down for that.
And they just need to go ahead and establish a new, if not a new one, bring what's his face back for the Punisher, get somebody for Ghost Rider. Yeah, you already have Marshall Ali for Blade, so like just get him in there. That's your Midnight Suns. Run with it.
Boom.
Cool. It's all there. Just do it.
It's all there. I mean, it's all coming together. They know what they're doing. It's all coming together.
Yeah. But yeah, last week I think was pretty good for Marvel stuff.
Pretty good for Marvel stuff.
One more little bit of MCU news. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has officially wrapped filming, but it has been confirmed through behind-the-scenes footage stuff that Star-Lord will have his comic-accurate suit in that movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of have mixed feelings about this because I always, if done right, I think comic accuracy is kind of as ideal for superheroes, but I feel like Chris Pratt's red jacket is pretty iconic to the character now that for at least for the movie. So like it's not necessary to change it, but like if it makes sense in the story for him to have it and it looks good in live action, like
well, that's one thing. They're probably gonna write it so that it either gives him some special boost or something, you know what I mean? Something to make it work that's worth having. And also, it's the third one, so it's like let's, up the everything.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exciting. That's coming out next May, I think, still. So cool. Not technically MCU stuff, but kind of, but not really, but Marvel. Apparently, there are reports that some movie theaters that are still showing Morbius, some showings have removed the line that Michael Keaton says referencing Spider-Man.
Already?
Yes.
No.
It hasn't been like hard confirmed yet, but a couple of people here and there have been like, he didn't mention he has something to do with Spider-Man. He's like, just the part that he's here now. Do you want to help me? He doesn't mention Spider-Man.
I feel like you should have there needs to be a plan. Like that sounds like there's not a plan anymore. That's very concerning.
Right.
Oh no. Especially backtracking while the movie's still in theaters is like rough.
It's very funny.
Yes, it is. It kind of like you don't do that unless you don't know what you're doing. Like that doesn't happen to someone that has a plan at all. So
yeah,
that's kind of a train wreck. But we kind of knew that going in because there's a Morbius movie that exists without Spider-Man in the first place. So you kind of already knew like, wow, this is stupid. But
yeah, I feel the chances of the MCU Spider-Man movie just kind of ignoring Michael Keaton being in that scene and just like Vulture is still here. The chances of that are rising.
Definitely. I wonder what Michael Keaton thinks about that.
I mean,
because between this, the whole Flash thing still maybe not happening. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. I wonder how he probably is just like, this is annoying.
Yeah.
Like back in my day, we used to make movies and then they were done and that was it. We didn't go back and change this and backdoor apology for that, basically. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think it's.
I didn't have to worry about the main character getting in trouble because I was the main character.
Right.
Because both Ezra Miller and Jared Leto are just weird people. They're
Yeah.
just weird
They're
guys.
odd.
Like,
But I don't know about that. I mean, I kind of like it because I feel like maybe because my thing is like if he's like because like when he said Spider-Man originally, it was like, okay, so they're gonna have to do something here. So either they're gonna bring a Spider-Man to this universe, whether that somehow be Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield comes back or something. Or there's just already a Spider-Man here and they're just going to get a new one. But which the latter seems kind of far-fetched because it's like, we're not doing this again. But
yeah,
they don't know what they're doing. But we kind of knew that. But now it's like they really don't know what they're doing.
Like, yeah, I am perfectly okay with the Venom symbiote coming off of this Eddie and being in the MCU, but I am not okay with our Vulture going over there. That's not okay.
It makes no sense. In terms of how the Spider-Man movie ended, it doesn't make sense. In terms of why he's there at all, makes no sense. None of it makes any sense because if anything, he should just stay in his own universe. He shouldn't go anywhere. If anything, Morbius should come there, even though that wouldn't make sense either. But still,
it would somehow make more sense for Morbius to come here than Michael Keaton go there.
Right?
Somehow.
Because maybe because again, it's like no one should have no one originally from the MCU should have went somewhere else.
Correct.
So why though?
I wish I could tell you.
I know. It's not your fault, but I just I don't know. They just throwing things at movies and I don't know. But hopefully the whole thing this is a sign of backtracking is a sign of usually things not going well, which means maybe the whole thing gets scrapped and that's just it. They do one more Venom and then we never hear from these movies again.
What, you don't want an El Muerto movie? No. Okay. Not your favorite character?
Not my favorite character. No, believe it or not. No El Muerto, which clearly they're probably picking him for the diversity choice, but you know, it is what it is. I guess.
There are other characters.
I know.
Other Hispanic.
I know. That's kind of the thing that's still like, but why this character? Like, granted, he hasn't been touched, but that's probably I mean, there's a difference between a character that hasn't been used before and a character no one knows existed. And when I mean no one, I mean no one.
2 comics. Exactly, 2 comics.
Like, come on. I don't know, but
Oh well.
I don't know. Oh well. Hopefully.
Yeah. Last little bit of news that I have. We finally got a new trailer thing for Gotham Knights the other day, and as a part of that, they announced that the Xbox One and PS4 versions have been canceled. Yeah.
That made this week a lot worse. I'm not gonna lie. I was like actually upset about this because I have a PS4. So like I was really excited for this because I was like, oh cool. They're not gonna force me to upgrade to play this game that I really want to play. Yeah, they are. And I'm just like, because like I just bought a Switch. Not just. It's May. Oh my gosh, I've had a Switch for like 5 months. All right. Anyway, I'm not gonna buy a whole. I'm not gonna buy a whole console. That is still super hard to find, by the way. Which makes no sense because it's been out for like a year.
A year and a half,
right? Like
Came out
How is-
November
how-
2020.
are people just not making them? I mean, I don't understand. Like, I do not understand why it is so hard to get one of these things still. But no, I'm not gonna buy a super system that's probably being scalped anyway,
Mm-hmm.
just for like 1 or 2 games. Because again, there's still not that many games on PlayStation 5. Like, even when you go to like GameStop, they only have like one rack. Like,
Yeah.
it's not worth it. So I'm just kind of like, no, at all. But
maybe it'll be more reasonable come October. You can ask for one for your birthday, assuming it's available. You know, so it's possible.
I no. Hey, my parents are like, you're old enough to buy your own birthday presents. Hey, probably would happen, especially if I told them how much it costs. And also, like, no, like, for me, it's the principle, because I'm just kind of like, I feel that personally, I feel kind of disrespected, because it's like, because again, this game, I feel like if this game had to come out when it was originally supposed to, they would keep it the way it was. They would have the backwards, but it's like,
well, I have a feeling part of the reason it got delayed was because they were trying to make 4 different versions. So they just decided, in order to make the best game we can, let's just focus on next gen stuff and get that out as good as it can be, not worry about last gen stuff.
I don't like it, because I feel like, I mean, I get it. You want to put your best product out there. I get that. And I can't be mad at that, but I'm definitely mad at that. So like, I don't, it just, I don't know. It just, it makes me upset, because I was really looking forward to this game. This is the, like, again, Tim Drake Robin that actually looks like Tim Drake, also not weird and bald for some reason. Like, I don't know. It's fine. It's not fine. I'm not okay with it, but I can't do anything about it. So
I'm sure once you do eventually get a PlayStation 5, you'll play it eventually. Because I mean, you'll have to get one by the time the Suicide Squad comes out.
I know. And then the Spider-Man 2, and then
the
Wolverine.
And
yeah, by then I'll probably have to get one. But at the same time, I for me, it's just about for me, it's the being lied to, I guess. I mean, I guess they didn't. Well, would you consider it false
it's a broken promise? It's not a lie, it's a broken promise. Yeah.
Broken promise. Fair enough. Not the same. But still, it hurts, because I was looking forward. Because again, I was like, I don't need to get a PS5, because honestly, this game coming out and something else, I might have been, I don't remember. But you know, because like honestly, now I play my Switch more than my PlayStation now, to be honest. But
yeah, because I remember this game was actually because at the time we thought Suicide Squad was also coming out this year.
Right.
This was more anticipated than Suicide Squad because you could actually play it sooner.
Right. So I was like, that's huge. That's a huge thing on my list that just completely off of, like, oh well, that's unfortunate. So like, 2 of the biggest things, like the Spider-Verse getting moved to next year. It's just like, the list is getting small, man.
Zelda getting delayed too doesn't help my list either.
Right. All of a sudden, we still haven't heard anything about Invincible. Like, this was supposed to be the year, man. What happened? We're halfway through it. I'm kind of like, what's going on? Like,
Multiverse of Madness was good. Moon Knight was good.
I mean, Moon Knight was good, but like, I know. It just
still got Thor.
We still got Thor. We still have Thor, and Thor looks like it's gonna be really good. But
yeah.
But heck. It's still we're not even halfway through the year. There's still plenty of things. That was just one thing, but you know, we move on.
Yep. Yeah, that's all the topics I have on my list. Do you have anything else you want to bring up?
No, I was going to bring up that if you didn't. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, we'll see you all next time.
Take care, everyone.